Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time. Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly.
And we are on episode 52.
Happy anniversary to Two Women in Crypto.
Wow. That's amazing what has happened in the last year, right? And this has been such a fun journey with you.
So much fun. And it's, I love the fact that what we do is like 100% based in like education and just helping people, give them information to do some research.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of our new song by the Hodlers, not financial advisors, do your own research.
Exactly. And boy, is there not enough news in the world today for people to lean in and start paying attention. And if you're not seeing things that are making you question some things, I mean, across all threads of thought, but around cryptocurrencies, most certainly.
Yeah. And I go out into the community every now and again. And, I went to the post office a couple days ago and, it's like the nicest people work at our little tiny, like local post office. And, the conversation about inflation came up and, I'll always just ask people like, hey, do you know who Jerome Powell is? And people don't know.
Right.
So I think for us, because we are in this and we see and we know because we're following the information, we're following the money. So we're learning about what's actually happening. But I still think the majority of the population just doesn't understand.
Right. I agree completely.
And again, I think that's why we get up and we do these podcasts once a week. And we're just urging everybody, like, please share this information. Because the more I see what's happening in Congress, in the global governments around the world, the title of this podcast is Don't Let a Good Crisis Go to Waste. And they are changing our entire economy, our societal structure. And it's like, it's time to get educated because the more we learn and the more we know, the more we can rise, right? And make our voices heard. And we're not going back, Kelly, we're not going back to the old economy. We're moving into a new economy and it's digital. There's a new era upon us and we're moving to the blockchain. So I think like when we see things that are questionable, we got to get educated. And now's the time. They're going to reintroduce Loomis and Gillibrand's bill in the beginning of 2023 into Congress for cryptocurrency regulation. And they want to track everything over $600. Right now, it's $10,000. So what makes cryptocurrency different than our current financial system with anti-money laundering and like nefarious things being done on the blockchain? Most money laundering is done with the United States dollar. So when I hear the media outlets and the news people talking, it's propaganda, bottom line. Okay. Because cryptocurrency and blockchain is the solution to what's going on right now. We just need digital rights and we have to maintain some sort of privacy moving into this digital virtual world.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how that all plays out, of course, but it's really critical. We're at that critical stage.
Yep. So everybody can just like put in your Brave search, like contact my senator, contact my representative, and make your voices heard. Let's be nice. We're going to be super friendly, but we need to let them know that we need human digital rights.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Sophia's down the road. Anyway, we were going down that.
So I started as soon as Kelly and I got on the call. I was like, you know what, Kelly, I woke up this morning and I'm thinking about, like a holiday crypto type song. And so I started singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer to Kelly. And I was like, Sophia, the AI robot.
We got to lean in and laugh. And on that note, just real quick, touching on the hodlers. And I think you're done with the first album. Almost all the songs have been released. So if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, please do, because number one, they'll make you laugh. I'm going to go with that as number one. Number two, they're going to educate you and they're going to empower you to just really think about what's going on. And they're just plain old fun, old fun. So, and we all need that every day.
Yeah. And so much of what's happening, like it's not in our control, right? So it's just, we can be angry, we could be frustrated, or we can use our knowledge for good and try to change things from within, because we're not going to change the system, but together we can change, and then the system will change if we change. Right. So, I just urge everybody, like, share those songs that the hodler sang, share some of our podcasts with folks, because I really think we have, the next, like 2023, we're going to get regulation. We're going to get our first cryptocurrency bill signed into Congress. And once this happens and it becomes law, if it's not for the best of the people, it's really, really hard to reverse it. And when I listen to Klaus Schwab and I listen to Christiana Georgieva, who's, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, some people call it the International Mafia Fund, but right. So, but this is it, because we need to have digital rights. I cannot stress that enough. And when I'm looking at, the pandemic crisis and what these folks jumped right in and said, we cannot let a crisis go to waste. And I'm looking at the bond market in England. I'm looking at Prime Minister Truss. They're already, trying to kick her out. She would be like the shortest serving prime minister in England. Their inflation numbers came out yesterday, double digits. Yeah. And we don't want to get to a point, whether it's here in the United States or their brothers and our sisters in England, to make a choice between heating our house or eating. Like, this is serious. This is really, really serious, because when I think about our current financial system, it's based on debt. So if we're not creating debt, our system will implode. So we're seeing England and the Bank of England, the Central Bank of England, what are they doing? Well, they're printing more money, which is going to create this doom loop, and the inflation's going to keep going up. So we want to be mindful, because the United States economy is so tied in with England's economy as well as Europe. So it could be like a domino effect.
Yeah, we're definitely on the cusp of we're definitely walking on thin ice, as they say. So extraordinarily thin. So.
And again, we've been talking about this. So I think, like, mentally, physically, spiritually, like, we are prepared for the system to fall. The centralized systems are failing. And the answer is decentralized finance. So we're moving into an era of DeFi. So we have to learn about this. And Kelly and I always talk about this. We need to become our own bank.
Absolutely.
We have to have some money outside of the system.
Yeah. And I read, so I've been a little bit out of pocket for actually probably a couple months, in all reality, a good month, in terms of preparing for some family events. But, and you probably have this in your notes, but I'm going to mention it here anyway. Did you see where was it? I know Kanye's on whatever Kanye's doing these days, but JP Morgan took him out of the loop. They completely closed his accounts.
Yeah, I did see that.
That's a big deal. I don't care what you think about whatever's going on in terms of conversation, but the fact that they have that control, that's a big deal.
No, it's a really big deal. And here's an even bigger deal. And this is a good learning experience for everybody who's listening. When Kanye got censored and he got dropped from JP Morgan, he automatically went to Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, that absolutely. I mean, so when I read that yesterday, and I'm catching up on the world's news, I was like, that's a huge thing. I mean, I don't care who you are, and I know he's who he is, and that's an upper echelon of wealth and everything else, but that is a huge red flag for anybody, period.
Right, right. Every person has the right to feed themselves and their family. Every single person, no matter what you believe, should be appalled that this is happening. And it's not just Kanye. It's a lot of people that are questioning the current political system. They are getting their money frozen or their bank accounts canceled. And if this happens across the board and we have a huge financial crisis, and for some reason they go in and they freeze all of our bank accounts, and then they turn around and they say, everyone download your Fed app, we're going to convert your money from your bank account into digital central bank dollars. Is everyone going to do it? Of course they will, because their money is in the bank.
Right.
And then what would happen to the price of Bitcoin on a mass scale if this happens? And I kind of feel like it's only a matter of time, until we shift into like this central bank digital currency. Over 80% of all countries are piloting or accepting the central bank digital currency. And I get concerned because the average person in America doesn't know what a central bank digital currency is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been bringing things up here and there in the world that I'm in now, and no idea, none whatsoever. When I even bring up anything, it's like a completely blank stare. So, yeah, there's a lot of education that has to happen, and you're right. It's not necessarily going to be education. It's just going to be a mandate.
Right. And again, from like a money perspective, right? Like if we think about making money and protecting our wealth and our family, if and when this happens, and then people try to get into Bitcoin, now's the time to get into Bitcoin. Don't wait to get into Bitcoin when the market's going back up, right? When Bitcoin hits 50, 60, $70,000, I think we have about a year to accumulate as much Bitcoin as we possibly can. And the reason why Bitcoin is so important is because it is not controlled by a government. It's not Federal Reserve money. They can't print more Bitcoin. We can peer-to-peer transact with Bitcoin without being censored. And when we see other countries, when their current system, when their monetary system fails, they automatically go to Bitcoin because it's what people know.
Right.
They're not going to go and buy Hex and Pulse Chain because they barely know what Bitcoin is. So these are just some things that, I've been really sitting with. And it's like we dollar cost average in. If you buy Starbucks, if you go to restaurants, just, scale back $25 a week, $25 a month. Start building your bags because you'll be so grateful that you did. And I know it's hard to buy when the market's down, right, Kel?
But it is really hard.
But this is the time that we grow our wealth.
Yeah.
And this is a gift. And we have to take this gift.
And in the Bitcoin halving will happen in 2024. So, I mean, that'll be another catalyst for it in and of itself. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I think I touched base last week on the podcast that BNY Mellon, which is the largest and oldest bank in the United States, got approved to hold custody of cryptocurrency. And that's why, I made that little short with Caitlin Long, who is the CEO and founder of Custodia Bank based in Wyoming. She has been working with the Federal Reserve to try to get custody of Bitcoin for 2.5 years. The market is rigged.
Yeah.
And she is very upset. And she spent her career at JP Morgan. So again, there's already winners and losers, and we're seeing the centralized systems trying to take control and centralize the blockchain and cryptocurrency. But it will fail, but it's going to be this extremely bumpy road, and there's going to be like good moments and bad moments. Like sometimes I'm like, we got this, we're totally got this. And then other days I'm like, oh no, right? Because it's happening so fast. And I still think the majority of the population thinks we're going back to the way things were. We're not going back to the way things were. We're moving into automation, algorithms, drones, artificial intelligence. Like I was looking at all these different videos that were flying around LinkedIn over the past week, and, kind of making jokes about Flippy, Sippy, and Chippy. So Flippy is an artificial intelligence arm that's in 100 different White Castle restaurants. They're at Wild Wings and some California burger. And basically it's like the second version of this artificial intelligence arm that can flip the burgers, fry the fries, the onion rings, the wings, whatever it is. And the retail workers are going to get displaced. Yeah. Okay. So, and I know, and I think like in Seattle, and especially like where you live, I think the automation is going to happen even faster. But like Amazon with Whole Foods, right? They have Amazon Go. You walk into the Whole Foods, it can like facially recognize you. You put all your stuff in the cart and you walk out, and it automatically charges your credit card. And it's just like, again, do we want these centralized systems to have more control, and not only over our money, but our identity, our digital identity? And these centralized systems are not on the blockchain yet. Right. So when these systems get hacked, and they're always getting hacked, like every week we see something else happen, we don't want our data to be like floundering around for people to steal our identity. And there's one point of failure.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. So many massive changes coming down the pipe.
But it's, and again, it's just like, I kind of stay neutral about it, right? Because it has to happen. The centralized systems have to fall in order to move into decentralized finance and just decentralized systems in general. And for us, we have to maintain the love in our heart, the light that we shine, because we need our empathy, we need our humanity moving into this new age of the data revolution, right? We need balance, right? We always have to have balance.
Yeah, no, it's Yep. It's wild to think about the major changes that are happening, and what concerns me most, and we talked early about that, was that how do we, and that's why we show up every week, is to to share with others what's coming down the pipe, so they're not so completely taken aback by the changes, and they'll be able to function in the world.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So, we got our Bitcoin, we got our Ethereum, we're prepped, we got our food, we got gold, we got silver, we got our community, we got extra cash in the house, and as we transition, we're observers. So it's kind of like grab your popcorn, because, like, I mean, Janet Yellen, she's the head of the United States Treasury. She was also in the central bank song that we just released. I mean, this is the woman that was talking about taxing unrealized capital gains tax, right? And she's like, well, okay, so England is in a crisis. No one wants to buy their bonds. No one's going to buy the United States bonds. No one's buying them. The Fed can't buy them because they're in a tightening cycle. So they're buying about around $100 billion less of United States Treasury per month. People aren't buying bonds. Companies aren't buying bonds because everyone's cutting back. The pension plans, they're not going to invest in these bonds because We have a major pension crisis in England. So Janet Yellen's like, well, the Treasury will just buy the bonds back. I would love to, I would love to create my own debt, Kelly, and I'll just buy it back.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. Implosion.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're so right, because this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well. So everybody get your Ledger, get your Trezor, get your SafePal, whatever hardware wallet you're broke, you have no money left. Trust Wallet, Atomic Wallet, Exodus, it's free. It's totally free. Download it on your phone. Reach out to us. We'll help you learn how to transfer your coins because, I just believe like there's going to be a time when we're going to be so grateful that we took the time out and we educated in ourselves. The best investment that you can ever make in your life is in yourself.
So absolutely. And I'm like
you.
You're beginning to have a flurry of activity again. I think when the markets are going down, bear markets, people just kind of step away from the market. They kind of put their head in the sand and they don't want to look. But within the last 2 weeks, I know you're having the same experience. I have a lot of people that are reaching out for questions again, which is good. I'm glad to see that picking back up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is too, it's like, like when I went through like that DeFi certification, right? And when I think about the future of finance and I think about passive income, I think about staking my coins, right? So I have my Polkadot staked. I have my Cardano staked. I have my HBAR staked. I have my Energy Web token staked. So there's ways that we can actually, during this bear cycle, get your coin staked up on the blockchain. And every 5 days you go through, they call it an epoch, and then you earn tokens for free just by helping stabilize and decentralizing these systems. And this is the future of finance. So the more that we can stake our coins and accumulate these extra coins in the future, like I believe Cardano in the next bull run, not financial advice, but I believe that it's going to be double digits. So all throughout this bear cycle, I am earning Cardano every 5 days. And what's going to happen is I'm going to be able, and that's a non-taxable event, I'm going to be able to borrow against my Cardano, go get whatever I want, right? Go make my purchases. And then because I'm staking my ADA, I'll be able to take that staked ADA and pay back that loan all through decentralized finance. This is awesome.
Yeah, it absolutely
is. This is the parallel financial system that's running side by side with the centralized system. So all we have to do is have a little bit of discernment, and again, I know it's a learning curve, but instead of putting our money at Bank of America or Wells Fargo, we're putting in decentralized finance. Okay. Pretty cool. And again, it's a non-taxable event. When we have our money at Bank of America and we're earning 0.01% per year, that's taxed.
Right. No, absolutely. It's interesting. Hanging out with the young folks that I was hanging out this last weekend, there's a couple of them that are in the process of learning their development to create those types of platforms on the blockchain where you can lend yourself and, the loan yourself the money, just what you're just speaking about. And of course, that's Richard Hart and the Pulse.
Yeah.
That's what he's creating. He has a lunch to get. So it is absolutely what is happening behind the scenes. And that is really exciting. It's really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it's so exciting. And whether you take like Pulse chain or you take the XRP ledger or you take Algorand or you take Cardano, every single blockchain is going to have decentralized finance, right? Just like Ethereum has. So pick your favorite blockchain and participate in that DeFi sector. And again, we're so early, you know what I mean? Like when I think about, all the different side chains that like Algorand, the XRP ledger, all these side chains are being built. They're connecting with Ethereum's virtual machine. all these blockchains are going to connect to create a frictionless, seamless, transfer of value through the internet. That's what this is all about. And early participants, historically speaking, do very, very well in terms of accumulation of wealth. Case in
Absolutely.
point, like when I first started doing this, again, it's like you kind of think it's a scam. You're going to think it goes to zero. And there's, it's risky. Some of these things are risky, but it's risk reward, right? And again, don't stake all your Cardano, but stake some of it, because every 5 days you're compounding your interest on the coins that you're staking.
Yeah. And for those that don't want to get into the really complex aspects of that, doesn't mean you can't still participate, because there are complexities there. You can still be participating in a way that allows you to, take advantage of this mass transfer of wealth and do it in a very simplified version of that too.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. I mean, you can just dollar cost average into Bitcoin.
absolutely. There's a lot of different ways. So for those of you that are new and are like, oh my gosh, this sounds great, which it is, but are thinking to yourself, wow, that sounds complicated, which to some degree it is. It's just about remapping the brain in your thought process. But there's simplified ways to go about it. Just know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think like, even for me, like, the first time I set up my Trezor wallet, I'm like pacing around, getting mad. This was back in 2017. You know what I mean? So now I'm just like, the more you work with it, it's like anything, we can all learn new things. And I really encourage, and I know you always say this too, like step out of line, get yourself a hardware wallet, and just take some time and learn about it, because we can all benefit from passive income, and we're all going to benefit from being our own bank. You know what I mean? So, I know some of it can be kind of complex, but the more you work with these systems, the less complex it is.
Yeah, what kind of a bird is that? I've had a very active dog today, but what about your bird?
So that's an osprey. I can
Oh,
hear, yeah, beautiful bird. So we have a lot of ospreys here, by the ocean in Florida. So cool. So, all right. So let's get into some major adoption here going on, right? So MasterCard partnered with Paxos, and they are going to help banks custody cryptocurrency starting in the first quarter of 2023. They're going to have a pilot program. So here we go, right?
yeah.
Here we go. So this is something that we've been talking about for a while. I believe that at some point in 2023, definitely in 2023, people are going to be able to hold their Bitcoin, hold their Ethereum, hold any cryptocurrency at their bank. Pretty cool. And I do believe that a lot of this is being controlled because these centralized systems are trying to maintain and keep their control. So they want the banks to survive, right? These are old legacy systems that are so entrenched in our politics, like in global politics, right? So they want to succeed. And in order for them to succeed, they're going to have to start offering custody for cryptocurrency. And I think, it's such a good point. Like a new bank like Custodia, well, when she tries to talk to the Federal Reserve Bank, they're like, no. It's too, it's too unstable. It's not good for the American people. But when BNY Mellon asked for custodial custody of Bitcoin, absolutely.
Of course. Yep.
So, just stuff to sit with. But again, like every single bank will be able to hold your Bitcoin, again, not financial advice. We can't foresee the future. But when I see stuff with MasterCard piloting this program in the first quarter, we're talking January, February, March, right? It's just, it reminds me of like before commercials for cryptocurrency. I remember telling my dad, hey, Dad, in about 2 weeks, let me know when you see a commercial from Grayscale. It's going to be on TV talking about Bitcoin trusts. And sure enough, my dad's like, hey, I saw that commercial you were talking about. And it's the same thing. It's like we see things a little bit before it gets adopted, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in the news 24/7.
Thank goodness for all the research you do.
Yeah, and the thing is too, it's like, when I think about like all the different changes that are happening, it's like it's really like the tokenization, the digitization of everything. Everything is moving to the blockchain. It has to. Or if these companies don't move to the blockchain, they're going to go out of business because they're not secure. It's not a secure platform anymore.
It's not, and it's been shown to be that way for a long time. So yeah, and they've been putting these things, these pegs into their holes for years. So it's just finally anchoring them all the way in and rolling it out.
And the more instability, like, I've been really following what's going on in England, as well as the United States, because what the elite government wants is a new Bretton Woods moment.
Yep.
So they want to change the Constitution. They want everyone to have central bank digital currencies. They really want to like drive this climate crisis, propaganda narrative super hard. So everybody goes on a carbon credit system.
Yeah.
So again, knowledge is power. And the more knowledgeable we are, it's like, how can we even think about going to wars if we're in a climate crisis? So it's just, let's just question, like every time you hear something on the mainstream media or from the World Economic Forum, you have to ask yourself, is this true?
Oh, for sure. Across the board. I'm very mindful of where I do get my news from, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I try to listen to as many people as I possibly can, right? From all sides. And then I just sit with it and what makes sense. And then look at what these companies are doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, right now, like if you think about all the blockchain systems being able to connect, well, Bank of America doesn't connect with Wells Fargo. Bank of America doesn't connect with credit unions right now, right? So Ro and I bought a new car. I have to pay the bill. So I go online. They're going to cut the check for the credit union. That takes 5 to 7 business days to get it to the credit union to pay the bill.
Yeah.
So the blockchain solves this problem. So you're taking that friction out of the money system, which I don't really agree with. I think money should be really slow.
Right.
I do because it's really important. It's really important, but it doesn't really matter what I want, right?
Yeah, we've already kind of gone through over that hill. I mean, it is we are where we are.
Right. We are where we are, but again, it's like we want to look at the good and the bad, and we try to stay neutral. And the more, again, I'm not saying we're going to have a central bank digital currency. What I am saying, it's up to the people globally to see how this plays out. And even if they roll it out and everybody goes on a central bank digital currency and they roll out this social credit score, I don't think people are going to stand for it.
That's interesting because I don't know if it's necessarily the fact that people won't stand for it, but I think that there's a majority of the population that will just stand in line for it, period, and just do it because it's simple. It's simple. And I've seen it pop into a lot of conversations as of late with people. They're just like, whatever is the easiest thing to do. And that would be the easiest thing to do because then it's just there. That's so, not to be a naysayer but I'm looking at, and I want to say this, but I'm also knowing this, and it's fascinating for me. Like you say, we're observing. So I'm observing the conversations and I'm observing how people are interacting in their worlds, and they just want it to be easy.
Yeah,
People
it's
just want
true.
it to be
People are
easy.
tired. People don't understand.
They're tired. They don't want to think of the rhetoric. They don't want to think of the drama or remapping their thought process. And if they make it easy, which they do, I mean, it's fascinating to me. It's really a case study of mankind, of
Yeah,
humankind, of the human condition. Not right or wrong, no judgment from my place at all, but it is interesting to watch.
yeah. But I want to tend our fires, our flames from within, right?
Yeah.
Because I wrote about it in our blog. Everybody go to twowomeninCrypto.com and check out the blogs that I write. I'm trying to get it where I'm coming out with blogs like every single week, super positive songs, but it's like change is on the rise.
Right.
And it's just like, again, it doesn't take everybody. So I think the majority of the population, absolutely, they'll download that app, no big deal. They'll step in line and they're going to do what they're told. Human beings don't like confrontation, but then there's people like us, the wayseers, and we will rise. And it just takes like 3% of the population to stop this from happening. And again, we're not going back. We're never going back. But we can shape the future where it's beneficial for humankind and the generations to come. I mean, when I read in depth about like the social credit score, it's like, well, what if you don't have enough carbon credits in your family and your children want to have a child? But you can't do that because it's too much carbon footprint.
Right.
So again, like these are like extreme examples, but I kind of, when I look at the government, you give them an inch, they take a mile. So we have to be really mindful of these things. For sure. Okay. And with that being said, I really want everybody do some research on Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, and Deutsche Bank. They're all kind of going through a restructuring process. And I'm really curious to see how much of that restructure is going to be geared towards the digitization and blockchain,
Yeah. Oh, I would imagine so. I would imagine so. It'd be interesting to see what happens for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so so again, just to get back to like touch base on AI again real quick, because like Chipotle has AI called Chippy, and it's going to make our chips at Chipotle. Okay, so I think about Federal Express. I saw Federal Express making deliveries using drones. So the new economy is going to be based on automation, algorithms, artificial intelligence, and drones. So if you have jobs, like if you're a driver or even if you're a nurse, they have Nurse Grace that's going to be an assistant to help the elderly. And then you have like they're piloting this new AI robot called Moxie, and Moxie is going to be able to draw blood from humans. And I get that most people are going to say, I'm not going to do that. You absolutely will, because you're not going to have a choice. So we got to sit with these things, right? Because our world is totally going to change. It's so funny listening to these videos, right, Kelly? Because they're like, it's going to be a point where it's like, remember when we used to write checks?
Oh, yes. I mean, let's date ourselves, shall we? But yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so remember when humans used to flip our burgers at McDonald's?
I used to flip them. I used to make egg McMuffins. I remember those days. Yes.
So it's going to be like that. Oh, remember when people worked at the grocery store, right?
Yeah, remember when we used to stand up and change the television channel when we wanted to change things? I mean, it's wild. It's crazy. I mean, it's unfathomable, but it's also pretty amazing to be in the state of awareness that we walk in, watching this all unfold. Because I think the other things took place and we really had no idea what was happening.
Right.
And this, I feel that there's so much more of a sense of awareness around it, at least for some of us.
No, definitely. And that's thanks to the internet, like back in the day when you just had TV, television is telling you a vision, and you only have a couple of channels to pick which one you want to be programmed by. Now we have the internet, so we can gather all this different information and be like, is this true? And do the research and be like, wow, they're really shaping society to bring us to this place. And do we want to go to this place?
Wild.
Wild, 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 wild. All right. Well, on that note,
I don't know. I'm still trying to get my feet back on the ground.
No, I mean, the bottom line is this: the world's going to keep turning, right? It's just like, I really believe and feel like we are going to shift into like a renaissance. We're going to have a digital renaissance. But at the same time, we have to understand that the powers that be are trying to hold on to the control. And I think it's like you said earlier, it'll just implode upon themselves. The manipulation of the markets, I mean, it gets so complicated with like derivatives and the bond market and the dollar index and all of these things. But when I look at them, when I look at everything, it looks like it's going to implode. And maybe they can manipulate something and figure it out that it doesn't. But when the government told us to stay home, we pumped up the markets with so much money. It's like, now that we're in a recession, it's not, we're just starting, right? It's just,
Well, it's so interesting. I was listening to the news this weekend. I don't know what it was, but they're still saying if we're in a recession. And I'm like, how can you still be saying if we're in a recession? I'm just glad I chose not to be a news anchor or anything like that. I'd be screaming at the top of my lungs with confusion, but
yeah, I mean, I think we'd be out of that industry for sure. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is too, it's just like, I'm looking at like the price of oil, my dad even said, he's like, make sure you fill up your car by the end of October. If you live in Florida, Governor DeSantis gave us like a holiday on taxes, gas tax, right? So our gas is a little bit lower. Biden administration has been taking the oil reserves to offset the higher price of gas, right? Because he shut down the Keystone Pipeline because we were energy independent and now we're dependent. And when we look around what's going on, that was not the right thing to do. Absolutely not the right thing to do. Not when people suffer.
right.
Okay? People can't go cold or pay for food if the price of oil is so high. Not everything runs on oil. Everything runs on data, but oil is still up there, right? So so again, I think this is something that we need to be prepared, because I know Biden wanted to extend pulling money out of the oil reserves, and he wanted it to extend after the midterm elections. That's like unconstitutional and borderline like treasonous, because it's for an emergency. It's like, I get it if you don't want to spend $5 a gallon, but that's what they did. So this is where we're at, so I just want to, just bring that to people's attention, because the choices that these people make is affecting our daily necessity, like our needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And the midterms, like you said, they're just what, 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away, really? 2 weeks away?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable how fast time is going.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like a blink of an eye. So I think we'll see a little bit more instability in the market, especially like once midterm elections come, you're going to have both parties screaming at each other. You're not really talking about solving any problems, right?
Yeah.
So it's just going to cause more volatility in the market, but maybe we'll bottom out after this, because once whoever's in office, something's going to happen. So we're going to keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. But, at the end of the day, we're transitioning into a new financial market. And this financial market is going to be based on the blockchain. 100%. That's what I see. That's what I believe. And I feel like that's what's happening. Even though this isn't financial advice, I really want everybody to take some time and just do some research. You don't have to buy anything. Just do some research and see where we're going.
Well, and on that note, a great place to do some research would be to join us for our Web 3.0 class, because that is this Saturday. The cost is $45. It's a great community to step into and just ask any questions about it. But it's going to be really a great way for you to begin to really comprehend what is happening behind the scenes and what we're walking into.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like, the history of Web 1.0 to 2.0 to now 3.0. So we're going to talk about the tokenization of real estate, non-fungible tokens. We're really going to get into some of these things. And again, it's just like, even if we go from a recession to a depression, during times of depression is when most millionaires are made.
Right.
So that's why, I think it's so important for us to tend that fire, that flame that's inside of us that's left, because what an opportunity. Even, I'm not taking away from how bad things will probably get, but it is an opportunity,
Yeah, it absolutely is. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we have our monthly Q&A. We always do shout out. That's on the 29th. It's always the last the last Saturday of the month. We would love for you to join us there too, especially if you're just really leaning into what this is all about. It's a great way to inquire in a very safe place and ask any question.
Yep, for sure. For sure. And a big shout out to our sponsors as well.
We have Computer Diva, Mary Berger. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for support remote all over the world, she's been taking care of me for years in terms of my business and my computer health, and she has saved my skin many times. So I would definitely check her out. It's computerdiva.biz. Highly, highly worth the monthly fee for her services as far as protection, but just if you have an issue, she will help you. You don't have to pay for her monthly service. She's just a great, great ally to have in your back pocket.
Yep. I know, like when Rowan's computer got hit with that bug, when she, when she updated her computer, like Mary spent so much time with us, super patient, so kind, so brilliant when it comes to these things, and really tries to solve the problem. So big shout out to Computer Diva.
Absolutely. And then we have Markley Mobile. I mean, amazing. Of course, with technology today, we're always needing notary services, and we used to have to go to the bank or find somebody to do that. And now we can do it online. So, that's just, again, kind of in line with what we're talking about as far as how we're continuing to move into these futures. So markleymobile.com, I would highly recommend if you have any banking needs, notary needs, I should say not banking needs, but notarization needs, trust, wills, all those things, check her out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so cool now because you can get something notarized from the comfort of your own home. You can live anywhere in the United States and reach out to Markley Services, and it's great. Yep, for sure.
Absolutely. So we're fortunate to have our sponsors. Thank you very much for your support. And and happy 1 year anniversary again. Pretty cool.
I know, 1 year anniversary, and on our 1 year anniversary. I just want to make a note. I've been getting a lot of complaints about the Above phone. So I love these guys I think they're doing such good work. And just like with the blockchain, a lot of this technology is so new. It's not super user friendly. Yeah. So because of the feedback that we're getting, we're just going to take our affiliation off, because I want to make sure whatever we do, like I use my Above phone, and there's things I love about it and there's things I don't like about it. But the feedback that I'm getting, we need it to become more like Apple, right? We need that user interface to be super friendly, easy to navigate for the everyday person. Now, if you just want a phone that's totally private, that runs on like a graphene operating system, for like backup or for banking services that you're not running on the Apple operating system or Google operating system. But for day-to-day use, it's just like everybody's been like texting me saying, I miss my emojis. I don't know how to send a video. I can't listen to videos that people are sending me. And then I'm getting text messages from people's old iPhones. So let's just like, I'll keep researching. There will be a good solution. And like I said, I love the people over at Above Phone, but we'll just keep, we'll just watch and see how this technology develops over the next like 6 months to a year for sure.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, they're on it. They'll figure it out and
they're going to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have faith in them. Awesome. Well, I love everybody so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to Two Women in Crypto. And we're going to keep dollar cost averaging. We got, hopefully we'll know more in a couple months. I mean, the new year is right around the corner, around, just what, 3 months away, 2 months away.
Just a hop, skip, and a jump for sure.
All right. Well, so let's get buckled up. It's going to be a bumpy road, but we're our own bank. We got our coins offline, and we're just going to keep hodling on.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.
Hodl on.
Hodl on. Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. You'll find more information and details regarding the Two Women in Crypto membership, educational and informative class and event offerings, and more via their website, twowomenencrypto.com. Both Andrea and Kelly are available for speaking events and offer private consultations focused on helping individuals navigate the future. Until next time, huddle on.